Yes. To the individually.
Can we start?
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And we're listening.
Guys.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Fanny and today I will be presenting this roundtable. And our topic that we are discussing today is our right of or our freedom of speech, especially in social media. So everyone knows that our right to speech is a fundamental right. Constitutionally, it is our absolute right to freely express our views and opinions. And in social media, it is not the exception. However, our Constitution also says we must be responsible for our words. So what does it really mean to be able to express ourselves, right? We may know that also in this age of technology, we are vulnerable to exposure and manipulation for social media. So today we will see this topic, but I want to ask you a question to begin with. And before that, we have today Saul, Fernanda, Pau, and Oscar. Guys, I brought you something that I want to talk about with you. First of all, do you think people can write or spread fake news without facing consequences because it forms part of our freedom of speech? We know that we have responsibility, right? But do we know that we need to face consequences, or can we just say whatever and then say, oh, I was kidding? What do you think? I want to start with Oscar.
Well, social media is a powerful tool of information that allows to people from other sides of the platforms to express themselves, express their opinion about a topic. So in social media, free speech is for all. So, which means that every perspective from the positive and negative sides are allowed to have a voice on social media. So you have the choice to be anonymous or not.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you have a next opinion, Fernanda?
Yes, I would like to add that in my opinion, I do believe that there should be consequences because the use of fake news as freedom of speech is not a fact because they have real consequences. I want to talk about the COVID-19 vaccine tweets that happened in the pandemic and how that led to people not getting the vaccine, and that led to we didn't get the herd immunity and more people died because of it. So I think that people should face real consequences for their actions because one thing is your opinion and another thing is a fact. And I think there should be a difference between those.
Nice. How about you, Paul?
Well, first of all, I would like to kind of like quote the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. And in here we have something that tells us that we do have a freedom of opinion and expression. And this not only involves the freedom to hold our own opinions without any interference, but also that we can receive information through any sort of media without regardless of the frontiers. So this definition is very complete in my opinion, and if you think about it, it does not include harming, deceiving, or intentionally manipulating others. And that is the sole intent of fake news. So it should not be included within the opinion and expression, the freedom of expression, because it is not protected by it. So there are two sides of the spectrum, it's like a coin. First of all, we have this problem that is very evident and that we're seeing that many people are suffering because they're receiving a lot of fake news that is constantly being created. But we also have the other side of the spectrum, that technology is such a powerful tool, and we have learned to trust technology just for the sake that it is technology, because it is innovative, it brings many positive impacts. So we say, well, technology is good for us, but we should also focus on all of the techniques of teaching people how to identify the things that harm them within it.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I think it's important, as we now know how this right of freedom of speech works. It's important to know that it's not the same to have this right that to spread false information, because false information within fake news can cause harm, and this harm is like a real consequence outside of social media. So if other people have bad consequences from your actions, you should also be accountable for this. In fact, more than 40% of Americans have admitted in 2022 by a study by Amy Watson, they have admitted to sharing this type of information, maybe willingly or not willingly, but it's a very huge part of the people who use social media that are sharing these types of things. So this has made the trust in media to be lower year by year. For example, in 2021, the trust for social media, or the trust for like the New York Times and all of the newspapers, was about 43%, and it lowered to 39% the next year. So it can cause people to trust less in public institutions, also newspapers, and this can lead to a lot of chaos.
Yes. Thank you so much for your opinions. You all have good points, right? But I want to go next. I want to go on with another question. Which are the limits that you think social media enterprises like Facebook, Instagram, etc. need to have about freedom of speech? We already know enterprises sometimes need to be by government side, but what do you have to say about this? I would like to start this time with Fernanda.
Okay, I think I have a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I do believe censorship should be available in some of these platforms, because I do not support hate speech, and I do think that regulations should be explained in the terms and conditions, and they have to add that if you use some kind of hate speech, you are allowing them to be able to ban you from this platform.
Okay.
Because it should not be tolerated that another person is being harmed just because it's their freedom of speech.
Well, it's valid. How about you, Oscar?
Well, I feel that reading information from social media may change the idea of the users and may change the point of view about a topic. So the information, the power of the information critically depends on the credibility of the users. So the victims of this misinformation are those who cannot fact check the information. So the goal of the free speech in social media has been achieved, but it has also created another opportunity to other people to create and spread misinformation and without experiencing the consequences. But talking about the solutions on social media, Twitter act about the users and the content on the social media. So the users come across the muted words that feature on Twitter that consist in a list that creates the user create to unwanted words and phrases. So they did not want to see these words or phrases on their feedback,
Oh, okay.
on their like timeline. So this could be the solution for other social media platforms.
Okay, nice. Sally?
I think to put a certain limit is very hard, since it's a very complex question to know what is right and what is wrong. Social media does have the responsibility to protect our freedom of speech and protect that we can express our ideas and our thoughts, but it's also responsible to prevent consequences that could lead into the real world, such as hate speech or misinformation. The solution that is being made right now is to have community guidelines, which are the rules from that they show you that what is right and what is wrong. But then there's maybe times where not even the platform moderates according to these guidelines. So it's a solution that is in place right now, but maybe it's not the right one, or we need a better one, which could be, for example, to have a greater organism which is only for freedom of speech or for ideas and balancing all of this, that has below it all of these social networks such as Facebook, Twitter, etc. But it's a very complex matter to have like a limit from like a black and white thing. It's more of a grayscale.
Yes.
All right. So I agree with what Saul was saying about it is so hard to put a limit to it, and it is also very hard because there is a very large amount of information being posted every day in these social media platforms that are so powerful that they connect everyone around the world. So it is true that these community guidelines not always are effective, and they do not totally protect us from misinformation or misleading data. But it is also true that technology, just as it can be harmful, it can also be beneficial. For example, in the University of Arizona, there was a student of the doctoral degree and also a professor who together developed an algorithm that was based on recognition technology, and this was able to identify certain patterns in fake news articles. And these articles that were identified were not only exposed, but they were also backed up by the explanation of why it was speculated that they had fake news. So implementing this kind of technology into these social media platforms could be a first step into letting know the user that the content that they're reading right now could potentially be fake news, so that once they have this warning, they can go on to a credible source and look for appropriate information. And so I think that taking advantage of all of these innovative ideas, and the University of Arizona is only an example. There was also another example by the Electrochemical Society. It is only an aspect of collaboration with the government and with people who are able and who are willing to develop these beneficial technologies.
Okay, so we all agree with Saul, in fact, that yes, technology is really beneficial, and of course Facebook and all these platforms have these solutions to the problems of freedom of speech. However, they are not the right ones, or they're not enough yet. So thank you so much to you, Pau, and Oscar, Fer, and Saul for giving us maybe a possible solutions that platforms and enterprises can look forward to look for a better society, or at least online. And I'm glad that we came on with a conclusion, even if we understand that we have different points of view and that different topics have different needs. We already came to a conclusion that situation might be right, that enterprises are doing their job. However, they need to get better. And I wanted finally to emphasize in responsibility because finally, as Fernanda said first, it is our responsibility that we face our consequences for the words we say online. Not only online, but also in a presential way. Anyway, we need to take care of what we say. And also, don't forget, as we already did, don't forget to look for reliable sources of information, because that is the best way that you don't get caught by fake news. And I just want to thank you, all of you, for participating. You all have great opinions and great point of view. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You didn't include the audience. Did you ask?
Can we invite them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Do you want to share some comments?
What
But
do you
for me,
like?
you know, it's like, do you want to know about the news? Don't go to the social media.
Yeah.
That is not news. So, I mean,
Yes.
well, because they don't have any control on what is published related to current affairs, right? And current pieces of news. No. Social media are good for other things, but not exactly to transmit reliable information about the world.
Yes, of course.
And unfortunately, many people just read news from social media, but they are not trustworthy. Unfortunately, go to the New York Times, go to other newspapers,
Yeah.
and they have the right news because it's not possible for them to publish something which is not true.
Yes.
And then, you know, but many things like, you know, during the pandemic, you were supposed to drink some sort of
Everything like they
something which was very dangerous, right?
Ivermectina.
Yes, what was it?
Ivermectina.
Yes.
No,
Some
that's,
very,
No, that's
very
the
toxic.
thing.
that's a medicine. That's
Yeah.
a medicine. I think what you're saying
But
is
that one was also bad.
Uh,
Like you shouldn't be taking ivermectina.
the chloro.
Yes, it was something with chlorine. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
something with chlorine that is very toxic, you know, and people were buying it. You can die.
Yes.
But
thank you
people
so
were believed in that, you know, something
Yes.
very toxic that in order to prevent COVID. So no, no way.
Do you have anything to say for the audience?
About freedom of speech in social media.
I think it's good, but it has barriers within harming people, because that is not part of your liberty when you tend to the liberty of someone else.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.